we don't always get along with our upline. Listen, this is a conversation I've heard probably a couple thousand times over the last 20 plus years that I've been in network marketing. My upline sucks, or my upline doesn't respond to me, or my upline quit. Oh my gosh, isn't that the worst? But I will tell you this, the guy that got me into network marketing over 20 years ago, you can imagine how hard it is for him to see me all these years later doing so well. And I would have, because I'm so loyal, I would have let him be above me forever because he introduced me and we're good friends and we're still good friends, right? But you can imagine that's a little tough, right? To see like you introduce somebody to the profession and they became this huge success story, made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you could have overrode that forever. So you can imagine that it sucks for him. And why do I point that out? Well, go make your upline quitting or your upline not supporting you be the biggest mistake of their life. In some ways, having a really great upline, I mean, obviously you'd rather have a great mentor and a partner and a leader that's like in the trenches, responding to your messages, leading by example, but everybody's in different seasons. And I'm always empathetic to this because, you know, at the end of the day, to each their own, right? People get involved in this profession for different reasons. They have different initiatives, different goals, different reasons for being a part of this incredible industry. But I do think it's important to point out that, you know, not everybody has that same goal or tenacity or passion for it. So in some ways it could be a good thing. I know that sounds weird, but in some ways it can be a good thing. It could be a blessing in disguise to have an upline that sucks, that doesn't respond to your messages, that isn't on Facebook or social media at all. They're very old school, or they quit, whatever, because it forces you to step up. It forces you to grab the ball and take charge, and for you to say, you know what? I'm going to lead my team. I'm going to build an empire. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I'm capable of. I'm going to show everybody what I'm capable of. And it is awesome when your upline is full-time, all in, laser freaking focused. But at the same time, you get to leverage them too much, right? You get to lean on them too much. It gives you a crutch, if you will, because they're so good and they're so available that in some ways it can be a bad thing. It can actually be a disservice. So listen, as much as you obviously want to have an amazing leader, an amazing upline, here's what I'll tell you. This is what I learned from having great upline and also some not so great upline in the past. I learned what not to do. So it was a kind of a weird blessing in disguise, not having a good leader. Or, you know, they were really good like on stage. Like when I could get a hold of them, they offered great tips and insights. But I know the problem was, because this is the old school days, they used to do so many meetings and so many three-way calls and so many one-on-ones. And like literally they were working 8 to faint. You know what that means? 8 to faint? 8 in the morning till they passed out at night. Like they worked so much. They had no leverage, no tools, no systems for like creating the independence and the freedom and the flexibility of like building an online business like we have today. And because of that, they were working all the time. They were probably always overwhelmed with how many calls and return calls and text messages and meetings they were doing. They just couldn't possibly work with everyone. But with that being said, I learned what I didn't want to be as a leader, who I didn't want to emulate. Like I learned more bad than good, right? So I learned what not to do. Does that make sense? So in some ways, again, it could be this amazing opportunity for you to step up. It could be this amazing opportunity for you to be the leader you wish you had. Now, again, you might have a great mentor, but sometimes creates a little bit of a crutch. Right? Because you get to lean on them. They get to run the group. They get to run the trainings and the calls, and they're all up in the chats and they respond faster than you do. And by the way, if you have an upline like that, let them know it. Let them know how much you appreciate them. Let them know how amazing they are. You're spoiled. It's like having a great mommy or daddy, right? It's like so good to have that. But some of the greatest success stories, not just like in network marketing, not just like in business, but in life, right? We've all heard those stories of people that had like a terrible upbringing and they made the most of it. They became super successful and they became an amazing father or an amazing mother because they didn't have that growing up. It's great to have a great upline because in many ways you can learn from them. You can, get the confidence, you can get the skills, you can get the mentorship from them. Like in the beginning, you can borrow their confidence, you can borrow their belief when you don't have any. I had a great upline in the early days when I got involved in network marketing, and it was huge for me. I'd go up to her and I'd say all these things like, I don't have all their phone numbers. These people aren't calling me back. Like, these people don't have any money. They're not interested. What do I do? This guy's not getting started, and he keeps saying he's going to. What do I say? What do I do? And she'd be like, you can make money or make excuses. You can't do both. So you're either giving me an excuse or you're giving me a result. Choose wisely. Every time, excuses or results. So I had a great upline. In my early years. And then I got out of network marketing for a little while because my company went out of business. And then I got back into another company. I had a very successful upline. We'll leave it at that. Very, very successful. But after working with them for some years, we became like the redheaded stepchild. You guys ever heard that saying? We were the team, the number one team on their number one team. They would be helpful when they would respond to a phone call or when I would see them in person, when I got some time with them. But man, there'd be so many times where I'd like text them like, hey, I got a three-way call. Are you available? Yes. And then I do the three-way call and I call them, ring, 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 ring. They don't answer. Like, bruh, like you just said you were available. And then I'd send another text. Hey, did you get my message? I just tried calling you. You didn't answer. Like I got the person on hold. No response. They'd vanish. Or they take like 2-3 days to respond to a message. And one of the guys, his mindset was, well, I take 2 to 3 days to respond because most of the time when you have a question or a problem, a challenge, you'll figure it out on your own. So, that was their leadership style. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying it taught me what not to do. I knew how I didn't want to be. I remember them being super critical. They had such strong opinions. It's my way or the highway mentality. Like if you don't follow the system and do exactly what I tell you, lose my number. If you don't come to the events, lose my number. If you don't follow the scripts, follow the system, do exactly what we've laid out, lose my number. That was their mindset. That was their mentality. And I learned what not to do. I learned how not to be. I was like, I'm going to be super responsive. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be a babysitter. That does not mean that I'm going to answer every question. When someone has a brain fart, I'm just always answering their question. It means I know where to steer them. Like, oh, did you check the Buzz page? Oh, did you check the Boards app? Oh, did you check this? Did you see that? I don't make people feel stupid for asking a question. Some of y'all need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. Your ego ain't your amigo. And what weighs more, your ego or your bank account? Because some of you have this huge ego and you're so irritable. Someone asks you a question like, what do you mean? It's right here. What do you mean? Didn't you check that? Like, bruh. Like if you want to blow out really good people, talk disrespectfully like that to them. They'll end up on my team because I don't disrespect people. I treat people with dignity and respect. I remember what it's like to be new and have questions. I learned what not to do and how not to be because of certain upline leaders. My point is, it's okay if you have a bad upline. It's okay if you have a bad example. In the Bible, there's warnings and examples. Do you understand? It's okay if your upline is a warning of how not to be. Get over it. Be the leader you wish you had. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. In fact, for some of you, maybe you have an upline that drives you crazy and you're just like, it's like, what's it called? Oil and water, right? You just don't get along at all. Maybe it's time to divorce your upline. Maybe it's time to separate, bless and release. Listen, if you don't get along with your upline or they're a bully or they're a micromanager, or they're just like smothering you with their mentorship, move on. You don't have to work with someone you don't get along with. Find someone else in your upline that responds to your messages with dignity and respect. Find someone else that's leading by example, that's all in, that you can trust. And by the way, for those of you that are doing multiple income streams, be very careful. I'm just telling you, be very careful. Because if someone's edifying you and they look at you as a leader and then you're promoting this thing and that thing and this opportunity and that opportunity, I wouldn't trust a leader like that. I wouldn't be putting them in chats and edifying them because they're in multiple MLMs and they're all over the place. And look, I understand this day and age, people are like, I'm just going to be an affiliate marketer. I'm just going to be, I'm just going to sell stuff. That ain't building a business. But yes, if your upline is not responsive, they're not awesome, learn from that. Be the leader you wish you had. And maybe it's time just to find a new upline. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's time to find a new upline. Maybe in your current company, there's someone else you can work with. Maybe find some sideline brothers and sisters you can work with. Maybe you find a new company that does have leadership and mentorship. I don't know. That's your choice. Sometimes the best thing you can do is move on. And sometimes the best thing you can do is plant your flag. Everybody's got their own situation.